I appreciate you guys being here. First thing I do want to start off with is I haven't seen you since the passing of Frank Denius. What an unbelievable man. A guy that I only knew in passing, really, for about a year and a half. And what he meant to this university, what he meant to this football program. I went along with Chris Delcani and Greg Fenvis about a week before he passed. We went to his house and spent about an hour with him. And he was not in great shape, but he had his T-ring on. He could still give them hook 'em horns. We talked about, we remembered how our kickoff team was named after him and the things that he had done in the military and accomplished. I found out some unbelievable things about him. He's married for 64 years. He missed, I think, maybe the best story about him, and I'll move on, but the best story about Frank Denius that I heard was that in 57 years, he had missed 3 home Texas football games. 57 years. And one of those was to receive the Congressional Medal of Honor, which at first he had declined to go. He said, I'm not missing the game for some silly honor in his family. Frank, this is the Congressional Medal of Honor. I think you need to go accept it. So what an unbelievable man, father, husband, and very important to us. What an unbelievable Longhorn. I'm excited to see our football team play football. We haven't done that since the spring game. We've had an amazing summer. Our guys are in unbelievable shape. We'll have some of those numbers later on today. We'll celebrate the champions of the third quarter of the year. As you guys probably know, we split the year up into quarters in terms of the first quarter being winter conditioning, second quarter being spring practice, third quarter being summer conditioning, and then fourth quarter being the season. And our guys had a tremendous third quarter, and we'll be celebrating a lot of champions tonight as we get ready. I feel like it's Christmas in August because we get an opportunity to see in some of these new freshmen some bright, shiny new toys, and we get an opportunity in some of these veterans to see some revamped, remodeled, refurbished toys with Yancey and his crew. Yancey and his crew are as good as there is in the country, and I say that without hyperbole, without exaggeration. The things that our guys are able to do now compared to what they were able to do just a year ago is incredible. So we believe in him. We believe in what he does, and tonight is a very special night, transitioning into the fourth quarter, to see and continue to build on our mantras of this entire offseason of developing and finishing. I think we've developed as athletes throughout the course of the summer. Now training camp is about developing as football players, developing relationships, developing as a team, and then learning how to finish. And again, I've said it ad nauseum, and I'll say it again, I've never been more excited to coach a team in my career. Questions?
Raise your hand if you have a question. We'll get you the mic. Go ahead, Brian.
Unfortunately, we have to start with the biggest story in sports right now. What's going on in Columbus, Ohio. There are 3 people here, you, Tim Beck, and Stan Drayton, that had Ohio State ties. And the biggest thing is that Courtney Smith said all the wives knew about what was going on with Zach Smith. So what can you tell us about what you knew about any of this, if anything, or what Tim or Stan knew about what happened there?
Yeah, as you guys should know, I left the program after the 2015 season, the 2014 season. And the things that occurred, to my knowledge, happened in late 2015. So I really don't think it'd be fair or appropriate, to be honest with you, Brian, for me to comment about a situation in another program that happened while I wasn't there.
And a follow-up to that, what is your feeling overall? I mean, your contract does not specifically have Title IX language in it, but the university policy has one that you, everyone that works for you, everyone who works for Texas really, is required to tell someone something when you know something. What, do you talk to your assistants about any of that? I mean, what's your feelings on that on the whole?
Oh, we understand the importance of it. We understand the power of the roles that we have. The great thing about working at a place like the University of Texas is that we are trained extensively in what to do in situations like that. And through that training, we understand that in a supervisory role, that we have a duty to report. And if something comes across my desk or an assistant coach's desk, he is very specifically trained as to what to do and how to do it, which is to report it to a supervisor and start it working up the chain of command.
Jim?
Tom, I am gonna follow up on this because while the issues that have been reported, the incidents have been reported for 2015, you were already gone, but you were there for a couple of years, worked closely with Zach. I'll just ask you, did you or your family, your wife, have learned of any allegations of domestic violence by Zach Smith while you were there? And if so, what did you do?
Again, it's always been my policy to not comment on another program. We're at Texas. We've been at Texas for a year and a half. And just as sensitive of a subject as this is, to comment in a forum like this, I just feel would be very inappropriate.
And have you asked your assistant coaches that about what they may have known about anything that was going on prior to that 2015 incident?
That's at another program that I'm not going to comment on.
Questions? Great, Jim.
Tom, can you give us your assessment of what you're expecting from the offense this year, what your vision is for it, how the growth, as you're seeing it occur from a leadership standpoint, chemistry, and on field?
There's a ton of chemistry, especially in the coaching staff room, to be honest with you. We get along great. I think there's very defined roles and who's responsible for what. And I think, you asked what I expect to see. I expect to see us run the ball better for a variety of reasons, whether that be us as coaches coaching it better and focusing on schemes that maybe fit our talent level, the development of our offensive line and our tailbacks, the health of our tight ends, and the fact that we have tight ends now, and hopefully, the development of the pass game. I think, it's a tremendous compliment. If you want to run the ball, you better be able to throw it to keep defenses honest. So that's the biggest expectation is we ran the ball so much better in spring practice, and I expect that to continue.
Stay in the middle, Dennis.
Coach, the whole establishing the culture, that was last year. Do you find yourself, is there a recent example of now that hard work is done, are you guys more efficient as coaches, as teachers? Has there been a time when you look up and you're like, yeah, we're in a good spot?
Well, yeah, we're coaching a lot more football instead of practice habits and effort and intensity and physicality, because those things can be coached, and they needed to be when we got here, and it's a process. There's guys that were not very physical. They were not very tough when we got here that now are, and now you can move on. It's the old crawl before you walk, walk before you run. You've got to lay a foundation of practice habits, of toughness, of accountability, of a genuine belief in what we're doing. You've got to win their hearts and win their minds before you can really teach them any football. And so I just think the biggest thing is we're coaching football. Now we're coaching individual drills. We're coaching schemes. We're coaching techniques and fundamentals where that was almost a secondary thought as to ball security and effort and physicality and not turning down hits or shying away from things. And nowadays that's ingrained. We very rarely coach that. It's still demanded. We tell our guys all the time, there's two demands in this program, not things you'll get coached on, but demands, and that's effort and ball security. And we were actually teaching and coaching the things that we should be demanding. And now, every now and again, somebody slips up and we demand it to get better the next time, whereas all the other things, we'll coach you on your footwork, and we'll coach you on your hand placement, and we'll coach you on the depth of your route and all that stuff. But the demands are being met at a much higher clip now than they ever have been.
The back middle.
Coach, Trey Watson joins the team this year from Cal. What new versatility does he bring to the offense?
Well, in his history at Cal was definitely a very good pass catcher out of the backfield. He's a low center of gravity guy, so he's got good leverage, blocking, and we still, I think he had surgery on that ACL in October. There's still a little deficiency in the strengths of each leg, so he's going to be limited and progressed, but we're accelerating that, so he should be full speed. He's going to go through all non-contact drills these next 2 days, but when we put the pads on, practice 3 on Sunday, he'll be limited. Obviously, practice 4 or day 4 is Monday. That's an off day. Practice 4 on Tuesday. He'll crank up a little bit, but still not be full. And then hopefully by practice, I think 5 or 6, he should be ready to go.
Down in the middle, Anwar.
Well, you're looking at the clock when it's time for my question.
Oh, sorry.
I just texted him the answer.
Coach, from the outside looking in, people would say that Tim Beck is a major year for him, and people would, reporters and fans or whatever. Give me your take on that whole situation and how him as a play caller versus a collaborative thing, and just your thoughts on people, maybe thinking that Tim Beck may have something to prove this year.
Oh, I don't. Again, we're all responsible for the offense. As an offensive coordinator, you're a manager of the room, the staff room. You're a scripter of practice. You're a designer of practice, if you will. This is what we need to do this period. This is what we need to do there. And then the game planning really is a group effort. And then even on game day, there's a lot of ideas that are being thrown around, a lot of adjustments that are being thrown around, a lot of different ways of going about it on game day. But if your game plan is set and set well, and your kids are able to retain that game plan, and the defense is giving you what you had game planned for, then there's not a whole lot to do with call this, call that, call this, call that. You kind of figure all that stuff out on Monday through Friday.
So does it matter if he's viewed as the play caller or you are viewed as the play caller?
I don't think so.
Coach, kind of following up on the Trey Watson, you also brought in left offensive tackle Calvin Anderson, and that was definitely a sore spot in the offensive line last year. What are your expectations for Calvin, and what are you kind of expecting with Herman in that group now?
Well, yeah, we brought Calvin in because we needed to. We think he's certainly talented enough to come in and compete for a starting position. And, the addition of Herb Hand has been great. It's been fantastic.
On your left, Chuck.
Tom, on defense, well-documented people you lost, some NFL talent, some All-Americans. In terms of both the talent and also the experience, how do you plug some of those holes of losing a guy like Malik or Deshaun or Holton Hill before the final 3 games? Who's likely to step into those spots for you?
Well, which spots? So those specifically?
Linebacker and secondary. It's Malik's spot, obviously. Jerry is the likely candidate.
Correct.
Possibly. And then how are you looking at the secondary shaking out with all the young talent you have coming in?
Well, Devontae would start at corner. We've got to get those young guys some reps. And as good as Deshaun and Holton and Malik were, and they deserve every accolade that they earned, the guy that was maybe the most disruptive was Puna Ford, and so we've got to make sure that we're getting at least close to his production from the nose guard position.
Stay on the left, Danny.
Tom, is there any updates on DeMarco Boyd and his situation with the team?
No.
In the middle, Roger.
As you start practice, I know the most important thing's the next day, but you got an opener a month away. It's a team that the guys that played last year, I'm sure, are anxious to play. It's a road game. When things are getting tough in practice, is that something that you're a reminder of what we got right off the bat is that Maryland game?
Now again, our philosophy has always been, and it won't change, the first 2.5 weeks of training camp is about us. We're not going to change that. We've got to develop this team. We've got to evaluate a lot of players, a lot of young players, and then we'll worry about Maryland and some installation of game plan the next 2 weeks as we lead into the game. But I don't think we'll use it as motivation to get through any hard times. The motivation is the guy to your right and the guy to your left.
Stay in the middle, Steve.
Coach, talk about who's maybe been a surprise for you in the off-season workouts, anybody who's taking huge strides from the spring games to here. I know you haven't seen him play football physically, mentally, and just leadership-wise.
Oh, I would say, physically, Marquez Bimage is, yeah, he vertical jumped today, something really, really good. Samuel Cosme is another young guy that's had an unbelievable offseason. Leadership-wise, Andrew Beck, continues to be exactly what you want there. Yeah, we've got a lot of good leaders on this team. Our leadership council has about 12 to 14 guys on it that I'm really proud of the way that they've continued to lead this team in the off season.
On your left, Joe.
Other than Trey, is there anybody else who will be 100% tomorrow? And then one of the guys who used to be in that, or regularly was in that injury report, was Kurt Johnson. What's your expectation for him this year in a running back room that doesn't really have a clear leader at this point?
The expectation is to stay healthy. That's goal number one. To go back to the first point, I think Cade Brewer will be limited in terms of contact for the first couple days. We've got to eat. He hasn't been hit since October, and that's more not a structural thing. That's a confidence thing and just being able to take hits. But we feel like he's going to progress very rapidly. But back to Kirk, he's going to have to compete. He's going to, in order to compete, you got to stay healthy.
Back middle, Chris.
Tom, what's your format for camp? It sounds like you've got some off days built in there because of the limited number of practices. You plan on still going off-site towards the end of camp before you start Maryland prep week. What's the format you have?
Correct. Our first 3 practices, so Friday, Saturday, Sunday, we'll be at Dinius practice fields. We'll take Monday off. The entire camp. And then the next 2 weeks, we'll be at Whitaker. And then we'll come back to Dinius, kind of break camp, if you will, because we're getting ready for Maryland. And then we'll spend the next 2 weeks leading up to the Maryland game back at Dinius practice fields.
Middle.
But you talked about Yancey Connect for quite some time now, but for people that don't interact with him on a daily basis, what's he like as a coach and as a person, and what makes him so successful?
I think he's going to be here right now to talk to you guys, so you'll get a chance to grill him a little bit. But he's as good as I've been around at blending toughness with relatability. There is everything matters. Nothing slips by. Nothing is, hey, if you're supposed to go +2 and the guy goes +1.5. Oh, well, that was close enough. No, there's no close enough. And he's in perfect alignment in what I believe and our program believes wins football games and wins championships. And so he's just a guy that can be so hard on our players, but they also know that the reason he is because he loves them and he has their best interest in mind.
Stay in the middle. Anwar.
Coach, I haven't been asked a quarterback question yet, so I'll do it. Who takes the first snap in practice tomorrow? And past that, how do you then divvy up the reps for those guys over the next few weeks?
Yeah, I think it'll be the guy that'll take the first snap will be Sam. He's earned that because obviously just going all the way back to the winter where Shane was hurt and rehabbing, and I don't think, the spring was pretty neck and neck, and so and they both had great summers. And then the next time the ones go out, Shane will take that first rep with the ones. So that rotation will be there, and then Cameron Rising will get a couple reps with the ones here and there, and then Cameron and Casey will split the rest of the reps with the twos.
So you're Kirk.
So when would you like to announce the starting quarterback, and do you have the pieces to win the Big 12 this year?
When would we like to announce? I think when it becomes obvious. I think the sooner the better, for sure. But it's, as I've said before, coaches really don't make that decision. The players themselves make that decision when they separate themselves, when the team starts to gravitate, when the ball moves more when you're in there versus when the other guy's in there. And then do we have the pieces to win the Big 12? I think if everything goes right, I think if we stay healthy, I think if we develop both as football players and in our relationship, if we continue to finish and learn how to finish, then we should have a very good chance to achieve our goal, which is to be in contention for the Big 12 championship in the month of November.
On your far right, Bill.
Last summer, or last fall,
Thanks for not asking me how many, by the way, too.
last fall, your camp was described as pretty intense. So, is there going to be any changes to this year's camp, fall camp, or what are going to be the main changes?
None. We're going to be very intense, very physical.
Go ahead.
Tom, Brecken called film sessions with T.O. a blessing from the football gods of the days. Why do you think it is that T.O. just connects with your players, and what is it about him that they love?
Well, he's real. He's not going to sugarcoat anything. When you do something poorly, he's going to let you know. But he's constructive, and he does a great job of attacking and criticizing the action, not the person, right? And so in our entire staff, that's one of the things that we all have to do. You attack the action, you criticize the action, you don't attack the person. And he does a phenomenal job of that. He has a way of teaching that really kind of breaks things down into very small parts that are very digestible, but he's fun too. I think the kids respect his toughness. It's not fake, it's real. The guy I know, if you ask me, the two guys, this is certainly there's a bunch that are honorable mention, but the two guys I'd pick first in my foxhole would be Todd Orlando and Yancey McKnight.
On your far left, Ricky.
Tom, when you're on the eve of camp like this, how often do you feel like you have a pretty firm grasp on what you have in the football team? And then in your experience, how often have you been surprised, whether it's for better or for worse?
I don't think you ever really know. I think this year more than any, because we have such talented young players that are going to have to figure in somewhere. But I also think the fact that we do have them will create a lot of competition with some of these older guys, and they'll either sink or swim, meaning they're either going to get better and rise to the occasion, or they're going to get passed up. So I don't think you ever really know exactly what you have until the first probably couple weeks of camp.
On your right, Chip.
Can you talk about what you've seen from junior Angelau and Coburn and Ojimo. And then also,
I've seen them run around cones and go through bags, so
um,
they look good doing it.
and then you talked about having a couple of tense conversations with Brecken. Did you have a couple of tense conversations with Beck that you can share and how that leadership formed?
Andrew Beck?
Yeah.
There was really just one, and it was on the field. And you like that. I mean, some of the best leaders I've ever been around have been passionate and competitive and proud. And there was a moment when I was challenging and criticizing something that he did that I didn't think was up to our standard, and he felt differently, and instead of addressing it properly, said some things that he probably shouldn't have said, and then it became two alphas going at each other. And but it was good. It was healthy. He apologized.
And how did it evolve from there? You said you and Brecken were like best friends, or not best friends, but just
Peas
Bonnie
and
Clyde or
peas
something.
and carrots, yeah. To quote Forrest Gump. Yeah, there was that one with Andrew. I mean, it was over within hours. He walked up to my office. Coach, I apologize. I understand I'm a leader on the team. I should never address you like that in front of the team, and it will never happen again. And it hasn't.
Middle, Brian?
I haven't seen many assistant coaches come in with the, I don't know if hype is the right word, but Herb Hand. It's getting a lot of excitement about what he can do, the offensive line, given his history. You'd mentioned in the spring that he brought a couple new drills, things like that. I mean, how has that kind of evolved in him working with his group?
Well, they've improved. They've improved for a variety of reasons. You know, I mean, we're getting healthier. You know, we finished with 8 scholarship offensive linemen, and now you add the 4 freshmen, Calvin Anderson and Patrick Hudson in the mix. Now we feel like we've got a better room. But I think I mean, again, offensive linemen are not supposed to play as true freshmen, you know, and it's a position of seasoning. It's a position of experience. It's a position of camaraderie where ideally you'd like the same couple guys playing next to each other for multiple years. And, you know, we haven't had that luxury in a while around here, you know. Going back to the year before, I think Zach Shackelford had to play and start a bunch as a true freshman. And then you go to Derek Kerstetter playing a bunch as a true freshman. And so it'll be nice to hopefully, if we stay healthy, have some continuity and experience up front.
So real quick about those 5 spots. Do you still envision Okafor and Anderson going at it at left tackle? And then who do you see at right guard?
Right now it'd be Elijah Rodriguez, yeah, with Kerstetter and Cosme at right tackle.
Okay.
And it could go the other way. It could be Okafor at right tackle, and Cosme and Anderson at left tackle.
And real quickly, who would you say, if you had to rank them, who's your most versatile offensive lineman?
Elijah Rodriguez could play all 5 positions. Yeah.
Time for one last one. Chris in the back.
It's been a while since there hasn't been any big change in the coaching staff at this program, and you added Herb Hand with us because we were able to, and some of the roles changed a little bit within the staff, but how big is it for you guys, for these players, for this program to have some continuity and have the same, 9 faces looking at them that they were looking at all last year, all off season coming into this year? How much is that going to help this program?
I think it's very understated. I really do. I believe I counted, this is the first time in 5 years that the offense will be on the same offense for the 2nd year in a row. I mean, think about that. So to be able to have that comfortability in the offensive system, to have the comfortability in your position coach, to have the comfortability in everything that we do in our program, I think is one of the main reasons why our guys have progressed at the rate that they have this offseason is because we haven't changed.